As I was listening to Mr. Wilders, it suddenly occurred to me that he couldn't possibly be here were it not for Ezra Levant. I mean, 3 years ago, he wouldn't have been allowed in the country. He'd been clapped, into security as you were in Britain and hired out of here. Was Ezra standing up to the Human Rights Commission that made this possible? I noted that Ezra, in his eloquent introduction, Mr. Wilders, had reminded you that you may not agree with him on everything, but you're grateful that he's here. And I don't know if you've noticed, Mr. Wilders, but that observation tends to come up quite a bit about people not necessarily agreeing with everybody on everything. And I thought, Ezra's right about that. The only person, I don't find myself in full intellectual agreement with anyone except my wife and Ezra Levant. Ezra also mentioned in his opening remarks the last time he was here was with my friend Salim Mansour. They were sharing the stage. And Salim is a Muslim professor of political science at Western. And you and he would have profound disagreements over he's much more optimistic than you about the possibility of reforming Islam. But in other respects, I was struck by how much you were in agreement. Salim has called for a drastic curtailment in immigration to the country, particularly from those Muslim countries that are exporting Islamist extremists. He says this is very dangerous to Canada. Salim, his latest book, is on the ideology of multiculturalism and how it's undermining freedom and democracy in Canada, and that how we Canadians should take greater pride in our heritage of freedom under law. Salim was awarded by B'nai B'rith in the United States a profile in courage. He was selected nationwide in the United States for his outspoken defense of Israel, just like you. And it struck me how ironical it is that the two of you have so many characteristics in common. Now, you very generously mentioned at the beginning how grateful the Dutch are to Canadians. Now, I'm a Canadian of fourth generation, mainly Scottish heritage, and I got to tell you that we Canadians are profoundly grateful to the Dutch. No country, I would say this even if my wife wasn't Dutch, they're very generous in many respects, but no people gave our liberators a greater and a more generous welcome than the Dutch. And I can also tell you that we are profoundly grateful for those Dutch immigrants who have come here and so enriched our country. As you know, you spoke far better than I suspect you knew on that. Profoundly grateful for them. And I know many of my Dutch-Canadian friends are here, and they would want me to say certainly hartelijk bedankt for comma and tot ziens in Canada. Now, Salim, one last thing. No one, and Ezra will correct me, of course, if I'm wrong on this, no one has done more than he to warn his fellow Canadians about the dangers of Islamist extremism within Canada. And like you, a man of enormous courage. And I know he would appreciate it if a couple of those good-looking, robust Dutch guys would, protect him as well. He is an amazing, outspoken. He would absolutely defend your right to freedom of speech, as we all do here, and we're very, very grateful that you've come. And one of the reasons we come is that people haven't read Salim's book about the dangers of Islamist extremism. Most of our fellow Canadians, as you know, in this audience, are asleep at the switch. They don't realize what a peril our country is in. You would think they would after the Toronto 18 was arrested in 2006 and preparing to set off 3 massive bombs, 2 of them in downtown Toronto. And the judge who passed sentence on the ringleader said this would have been the worst mass slaughter in Canadian history, and it was very fortunate that our security agents were able to cut them off before they were able to trigger the mechanism that they had prepared. And so now, this is why we're so grateful that you've come to Canada, because you will play a key role in helping to alert our fellow Canadians to this danger. And another reason we are grateful to the Dutch is because, thanks mainly to you, the Dutch people are waking up to the danger within their own borders. And we have the highest regard for the Dutch heritage of freedom and democracy and openness to others. And if the Dutch recognize that, that helps us to recognize it. And as I said before in Dutch, ladies and gentlemen, if you would now ratify what I had said before, we earnestly hope that you will come back and speak to us again. And thank you so much for your courage and determination to uphold our heritage of freedom under law. Thank you very much, Terry.
Well, folks, thank you for showing your appreciation to Geert Wilders. That wraps up the formal part of today's event. A big thank you to Bjorn Larson and Mary Lou Ambrosio and their team here for organizing another spectacular event for freedom. Sam Solomon, and of course, our great guest, Geert Wilders. I'll be interviewing him tomorrow on The Source on the Sun News Network. It'll air at 5 p.m. and then again at 10 p.m. Eastern Time if you want even more. Thanks, everybody. Good night, and keep up the fight here in London. Bye-bye.